light I can turn on here. We are live. What's up, everybody? It is Kellam. This is Sportskeeda Wrestling, and we have a lot to get into. What is going on with Sasha Banks and Naomi? What is their status with WWE after walking out earlier this week on the company in a controversial fashion while being the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions during a live television show? Do they have a future in the company? We will talk about it. Plus, Roman Reigns. How often are we going to see him? People are saying he's going to have a lighter load, even though he's holding both those championships, both the WWE and the Universal Championships, on his shoulders. We'll talk about that. How often will you be seeing him in the future? Plus, the Judgment Day faction. They just keep stirring the pot. Edge just keeps riling everyone up. The Rated R Superstar is teasing yet another addition to his new ominous occultist faction, Judgment Day. And it's a Freestyle Friday. We're going to talk about this big news with Stephanie McMahon taking her hiatus from WWE and so much more. You run the entire final segment of the show. We're also going to talk about Roman Reigns, what's going on with these upfronts, what's going on with AEW Dynamite Wrestling. You're going to run the entire last segment of the show, Shane, like a streak. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out! Watch out! Yeah, it's a Freestyle Friday, a longer edition of the show. We demand, I implore you, viewer, listener, wherever you are, to hit the like button, share the link or you stink. It helps us grow the show. It helps us become the #1 show on all of Sportskeeda, so we appreciate that. Jeremy Bennett in Nebraska, if you ask, we have a lot to get into here today. A lot of news, a lot of fallout. You guys weren't with me yesterday. I was moving and grooving. It's okay. I'm in the new abode. The wrestling ring is still set up at my new apartment. The roommates hate it. They don't like the ring. It takes up a lot of space.
I got rid of my screen. I just put a shelf in behind me. So I'm actually in a dining room and people don't know that. So
if you're with us for the first time, not the last time, thank you so much. Want to shout out to Noob & Co. He is one of our Twitch subscribers, just launched the Twitch channel this week. If you're a fan of gaming, we are doing some gaming streams on there, including our collective general manager mode, where if you're in the chat, you help us run our brand. And Jeremy's doing that every Wednesday night now with Getting Over after AEW Dynamite. That's kind of our pseudo Dynamite post show. And of course, a bunch of different content as well on our YouTube channel. A brand new interview with Sonya Deville just dropped today. A lot to say from Sonya about how she should have never been fired from the general manager position, and a controversial statement about other general managers in WWE television history. A lot going on with her as well in her campaign for Pride Month. All right, let's talk about these two women. They are the most talked about people in wrestling this week. Sasha Banks and Naomi are not backstage at WWE SmackDown, though there were some mixed reports. We do hear from multiple sources, though not confirmed by a super verifiable one, that they have been pulled from WWE live events. They were scheduled and advertised for WWE's Rockford event, this Saturday night's main event. Very, very cool stuff with that. Shout out to 1049 The X in Rockford for giving me some great opportunities. The interview this week with Paul Heyman that got a lot of attention. Thank you to all the other websites that shared that as well. And a lot of cool stuff. But obviously fans in Rockford may be disappointed that Sasha and Naomi may not be there, and they are not going to be at SmackDown as well. This would have laid up with whatever the reported plan was for both women, even though they were the women's tag team champions, to challenge for the singles titles in WWE for the other women against Ronda Rousey and Bianca Belair, respectively. If they were going over to SmackDown, that would have made sense.
Yeah, so PW Insider reporting that neither Sasha Banks or Naomi are in town for SmackDown. Did not make the trip for the show. Jimmy Uso, though, of course, Naomi's husband did, along with Jay, and they are scheduled to face RK Bro in the winner-take-all match tonight for the tag team titles. Naomi is still featured on the poster for an event that's coming up here pretty soon. Also from Kazim from the Ringers, he has revealed that now not just Naomi but also Sasha Banks.
This is a former WWE writer, obviously someone who has sources within the company.
Both Sasha Banks and Naomi have their contracts are both set to expire within the next couple of months. Of course, we reported yesterday from Dave Meltzer that Naomi's deal was coming up very soon. So, but it looks like both of them are coming up very soon for contract.
How soon that is, we don't exactly know. Are they going to be re-signed here? We don't know. Is this a strong arm move on their part to really force a better deal on their side? We don't know. I think there is so much that is assumed and speculated here simply because they have not come out and said anything yet. And besides that WWE statement, which was pretty blunt and painted, Sasha and Naomi in a very unflattering light, and also was WWE getting ahead of the narrative. They didn't. I mean, there's fans out there that anyway are just going to say it's the superstars versus company. It's the superstars versus company. And I'm not doing a pro company stance on this. It's a very odd situation where there's still so much we don't know. The full story is not completely out there. We don't know the exact reason why they did this. WWE stated they didn't want to be in the ring with 4 other competitors that were going to be in that match, though they've been in that match with everyone who's been in that match before. So it's kind of odd. What's going on here? Why did they not want to get in the ring? Was it creative? Was it money? Is it the contract coming up and they don't feel like they're set up for things to win here? Is it because they were going to lose singles titles matches and they're the women's tag team champions? What is it? Is WWE showing their cards by saying, hey, we're not going to have you in these titles, but your contract's coming up soon? Do you have someone win a title if their contract is coming up soon? It's a whole. It creates a lot more questions than answers. Am I right?
Yeah, and they said the main point of contention was that those tag team titles were not going to even be defended until Money in the Bank, which is in July. So they just were not happy with where that was going, and of course, July is when their contract supposedly expires. So very interesting stuff.
Stephen Chambers, they're both talented. I hope they both stay. Justin Fleming saying Sasha's attitude stinks. Yes, I hear Sasha getting a lot more flack for this as well. But it's worth noting Naomi walked out with her as well. Let's get into this Roman Reigns story. More information about Roman Reigns working the big stadium events for WWE. This has become their new MO with the quarterly events, your SummerSlams, your WrestleManias, your Royal Rumbles, to run those in stadiums for more bang for the buck, make them destination events. It's what they're doing with SummerSlam. It's going to be at Nissan Stadium in Nashville, and coming up as well with Money in the Bank, returning to Las Vegas. So looks like Roman Reigns will be on those events. He's expected as well for Saudi Arabia events, according to Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer newsletter. Roman is in rarefied air. He has both the championships. Is this something you can sustain? I want to know from the chat, people watching live, is this something they can sustain if Roman's not on television? You'll be seeing a lot more of him in the lead up to SummerSlam. But he's going to have a lighter load, and he's not going to be on the Hell in a Cell card as far as we know at the moment.
Yeah, and this is a report from Dave Meltzer, who I think Dave Meltzer must apparently listen to the show, because we said the exact same thing yesterday on the show that we expected with Roman taking going to be at Money in the Bank, SummerSlam, and Clash at the Castle, that he would take on Riddle in July at Money in the Bank. He would take on Orton at SummerSlam and Drew McIntyre at Clash at the Castle. This is kind of funny because this is the exact same thing we said yesterday. So maybe Dave Meltzer listens to the show for news, Kevin.
Brian, I've been talking to some sources. People say some things. That's my not so good Dave Meltzer impression. Yeah, I just know his little intricate.
I have none.
You have none. Brian Alvarez, they're geeks. There we go. That's my Brian Alvarez. So interesting here. Here we go. Some people saying Roman in the stadium events, not the arena shows. Odd choice. Well, here's the thing. Roman's going to be in Rockford tomorrow. I know I keep bringing up this Rockford house show. He's going to be there. Paul Heyman said it to me. Paul Heyman said Roman Reigns is going to be on that show. And tonight on SmackDown, the Bloodline will be present. A tag team title unification match with RK Bro and the Usos. So Bloodline, people, Reigns associates, we have all these different things here. It'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. Ozzy saying Roman is doing a Brock move. Roman's in a good position. He's the most popular wrestler in all of wrestling. He is, irrefutably. In terms of the merchandise he sells, in terms of the matches he's in. There isn't a more captivating villain that people care about and people want to see lose, but keeps winning. It's a Mike Tyson effect. You want to see this guy fall, but he just keeps going. And he's a captivating character. This is the best version of him there has ever been. And WWE needed it when he came back in the middle of the pandemic. And until they get somebody who's on his level, maybe they have someone in the next few months. Yeah. I just did a video about this for WrestleBinge, kind of talking about who could logically defeat Roman Reigns for the championship. You laid up those two opponents. You could have these two big stadium shows before the end of the year. Those are formidable people. Drew McIntyre gave him a hell of a run for his money before when they fought for it and came close.
Yeah, so and also the Meltzer reporting that he will be on TV most weeks and leading up to SummerSlam too. By the way, and we reported on this yesterday, I think, where he'll be on the last 2 SmackDowns before SummerSlam, as well as the final Raw before SummerSlam.
Mm. Once again, we're asking for those questions. Get ready for it. If you're with us for the first time, don't make it the last time. It is a Freestyle Friday. A few minutes away, you will run the show live in real time. Your questions drive the conversation, and we'll get to that in a little bit. Edge is teasing the pot. He is stirring the pot. He knows how to do this. The ultimate opportunist, taking the opportunity of all this interest in who's going to be the next member of his Judgment Day faction. He posted about Tommaso Ciampa. He posted about Paige returning to join his faction. Now he's doing it with the lead color commentator for WWE, Corey Graves, who, of course, has some in-ring experience in his own right with his NXT past. He's just playing with people, right?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, some of these early ones felt like, oh my, wow, he's gonna do something here. But he just tweets out a picture and people lose their minds.
Well, unlike Paige, Graves is cleared to compete and cleared for contact. So, you never know. You never know with Graves. He could be looking for another run. It's been 8 years since he wrestled. Obviously, if you watched NXT in its early days, Corey Graves's persona as the savior of misbehavior would fit right in with Judgment Day. I think it'd be pretty cool to see. I just don't really buy Vince pulling him off commentary for any extended period of time unless they have him just on commentary as part of Judgment Day and is a shill for them all up until they have the Judgment Day segments and he joins them. I don't know. There's a lot of things you could do with that, but I fully don't expect Vince McMahon to take him off of commentary because he's literally Vince's number one guy when it comes to color commentary.
You're my number one guy. If you know that reference, if you know that movie reference, you'll win invisible Sports Kevin points for me. If you can.
You look good. I didn't ask. I know what reference.
If you know the reference, you may be of a certain age. It's interesting. I think the Judgment Day faction has been good. It's an interesting part of Monday at Raw. I don't know how much the heel turn in general has been compelling, but Edge being a figurehead, Edge using his star power to rub off on younger talent, that's compelling. Not just being male talents, Rhea Ripley being involved, characters that have a dark rock and roll element to them that aesthetically makes sense being next to Edge, who's always had that himself.
Yeah, Iron Med's here on the chat.
It makes a lot of sense.
Iron Med's on the chat here saying old Baron Corbin would have fit in. The Lone Wolf definitely would have fit in there. Devin, the first one to get that Batman reference from 1989. Xander,
there you go.
Old Xander Charles, my buddy Charles in the chat. He caught that one too. But yeah, I think it would be interesting to see Corey Graves, and I agree with Jeremy. Pat McAfee's way better, but I mean, Corey's good though. Corey's good, but he can get old sometimes. But I think that's just because he was kind of overexposed at some points, being on both shows. So yeah, that was a very, very big part of it.
But another thing, before we jump into the Stephanie McMahon story, a majority of WWE fans have never seen Corey wrestle. They only know him as a commentator. Right? Yeah. They only know him as a personality. So it'd be interesting. Stephanie McMahon, this was a shocking story that was definitely kept under wraps. And Fightful Select has revealed more secrets of this, in that Stephanie McMahon is taking a hiatus, taking a leave of absence from WWE. It notes in the same report from Fightful Select that this was very much something that only a few people knew about, and that WWE PR was alerted to it before the announcement. Some people in the press were alerted to it, but decided to allow Stephanie to, create the narrative herself and to make that announcement, which I think is a classy way to deal with these things. It is also noted that there is, even though I think reporting on people's relationships is kind of trashy and stupid, there's no issue with obviously Stephanie McMahon and Triple H being married. So I've heard people already say that, like within 30 seconds of this being out. And I was just so upset with people. I was like, how do you even fathom that laziness of a constructed idea? But people did, right? So it looks interesting. I think it is something she has earned. As much as people say, well, she hasn't been on TV. Are you silly? Like, she's a high-ranking executive in this company and has been in this company since she was a teenager. She's been involved with this her entire life, not just as a teenager and a young adult, an adult now and a mother. The only time she's taken away time from WWE is maternity leave, some vacations, right? All those different things. And for the most part, it's been all WWE her entire adult life. And has a family and different challenges, different things in your life, maybe change her perspective. She's going to take some time away from the company. Nick Khan, who assumed a role with the company in August of 2020, was with the creative artist agency and represented WWE in those billion-dollar deals that they scored with NBC and Fox, will assume a lot of her responsibilities, if not all of them. It's said that this move did follow some rumbling for some time. A lot of Stephanie's immediate employees, people on her team, were let go with the restructuring of the company during the pandemic. So kind of makes some sense. Last time she was in the ring was at WrestleMania introducing Gable Steveson. So it'll be interesting. I think she comes back to WWE at some point. I don't think she's out of the picture completely.
So the latest on this came from Dave Meltzer here from the Wrestling Observer. Dave said in an update to yesterday's news that there is no time frame for a return, but she will resume her duties as chief brand officer in the future. And it was also noted that Triple H has returned to his office duties full time after suffering the cardiac event last year. During his absence, Stephanie was forced to take on many of his responsibilities, which maybe could be a very good indicator or catalyst as to why Stephanie's taking a leave of absence, because she was doing basically her and Triple H's job, both of them. So there is that. So that's probably a good reason why she decided to take that leave of absence.
A lot of people signing off on this. I appreciate you guys actually being classy about this and not being trashy. I appreciate this. This is reasonable. This is reasonable. You guys are good about this.
And Dave also mentioned Stephanie has been, I think we reported this yesterday as well. Stephanie has been contemplating on taking a break for some time. So this is just, by basically just taking a break. And I think it was a lot of it was probably being overworked handling two major duties within the WWE. So.
Absolutely. Let's jump into this one. This one is certainly an interesting story here. HBO Max hacks mentions Roman Reigns and AEW. Have you seen Hacks on HBO? We're going to get your Freestyle Friday questions ready here. All of you watching, get your questions now. If you're with us for the first time, fire them off. We'll go off what we have. If you don't see us answering your question, don't be afraid to post it again. But Hacks is a hell of a show on HBO Max. I really, really enjoy the show. It's about an aging comedian, the archetypical Joan Rivers type comedian who plays Las Vegas, and then suddenly has this resurgence of popularity in the mainstream and goes on tour. It's a very, very well-written show. Me, as somebody who works in comedy, this is like the idea of a corporate comedian having to refine themselves. The same way, imagine a wrestler having to go back to the indies or going to like an AEW or something like that. It's very similar to that. But it's interesting that pro wrestling, no matter how much mainstream Hollywood wants to say it's just a wrestling show. It's just a wrestling show. $2 billion television deals for WWE in the last 5 years. AEW comes up. The Rock is the number one box office attraction and is now going to launch a football league that Disney is in bed with. But wrestling's not over. like whenever I hear this stuff, I'm like, are as many people watching wrestling as they were 10, 20 years ago? No, but I don't care. It's still very popular when you can see things like this. Roman Reigns getting a mention. So does AEW, which makes me think that maybe someone from Warner Media stepped in and said, if you're going to see something about Roman Reigns, the WWE guy, you got to say something about our show too.
And then they put them together in the quote. They were talking. She was talking about trying to contact Roman Reigns' mother. Is this the main character's mom? I've never seen the show.
It's a great show. It's a great show. I haven't seen the episode yet. I haven't watched any of season 2. It's something I plan on binging in like one day. Like one of those shows.
Yeah. So it's this guy and his mother wants to slide into Roman Reigns' DMs. So then she says, to her son, if Roman Reigns ever goes to AEW, can I at least DM him? So that's
more of a joke saying that we're a Warner Media show that we talk to him once he leaves WWE.
That clip took the pro wrestling internet by storm.
Come on. I remember, and I appreciate because it's the objectification of men. And then there's some guys who just can't handle that idea. They're like, well, no, why would you talk about him like that? Stop it. Get over yourself. I remember the collective ovulation of the internet when Roman Reigns revealed his new look, which was simply him just taking his shirt off. Because Roman had been wrestling with like that bodyproof vest. When he took his shirt, the amount of female friends who I knew that were like casually wrestling fans, and I include my gay friends in this as well. I got at least 7 texts because Roman took his shirt off, and it was from 2 separate people who did not know each other, and it was the conversation of why didn't you tell me this guy looks like this? Like some people saying he's hot as The Rock, and I said, well, they're related. It's even hotter. It's like, why is it hotter? And I remember one of my friends just posting a GIF of macaroni in a pot. So you can find yourself back to those WAP lyrics. There you go.
Hey, Kevin, what time is it?
What time is it?
Yeah,
is it Vader time?
It's time. It's time
for Freestyle Friday. I love Jose is watching in the chat. Thank you so much, Jose. Shout out to Jose. Shout out to Jose and Brenna. Shout out wherever you are. We want all the new viewers to get in here as well. Diehards, we want to take care of you as well. This is the longest segment we do all week. We go long on this and we get you on screen. Let's get right into it. Devin Fulton saying, when is Bayley coming back? Anytime now. We've been expecting Bayley to come back since sometime around February. She was on the shelf for quite some time with a serious knee injury that occurred right before WWE was set to go back on the road. So she hasn't even actually gotten back in front of real fans since the pandemic. You know, she had a very serious leg injury, and people are just anticipating it any day now. When do you pull the trigger on that? Do you wait until Money in the Bank time?
I tell you what, if Naomi and Sasha Banks ain't coming back, that time frame gets accelerated in a hurry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and maybe now the timing of them doing that makes a little bit more sense.
I'm going to the beginning of the chats here, Kev, so you can go on the later ones.
Shout out Philadelphia. Wow. Are you Wawa or Sheets if you're in Philadelphia? Appreciate
West Philadelphia, born and raised.
Water race. Go get yourself a water race. What's the problem with you? Water race. Jesse Sweet with a question here. Will there be a battle royal for the women's tag titles? What are they going to do with the women's tag titles? I don't know if there's going to be a battle royal for them, but if it's a day-by-day situation, I wonder if you don't see those titles until they know for sure that Sasha and Naomi are out of the company. If they stay within the company and you don't see them for a while and they come back with those belts, it gives them something more than just their back, you know? So, and also it's worth noting, they could come back.
It's so up in the air right now. Yeah. There's, and obviously it ain't going to get answered tonight because we know they ain't there. Yeah, I don't know. This is a thing that's going to play out over the next couple of weeks.
I want to get into this one. This is an AEW question. We mentioned some AEW stuff and a mention on HBO Max, which was really just wrapped around Roman Reigns. It really strikes me as a producer's note. Like we're a Warner show. We got to make sure we mention AEW if we're going to do a wrestling bit. It's worth noting the upfronts were this week. The upfronts for television were these kind of convention style events for brands, media buyers, middlemen on sales and different things, and the major media conglomerates. That includes Disney, NBC Universal, and now Warner Discovery, which is a new company since they merged with Discovery. Discovery, it owns a majority stake now in Warner, so they get to dictate a lot more of its future. And there was some concern amongst wrestling fans with a renewal coming in 2024 for AEW. Are they going to be renewed? The show performs fairly well, but as we've seen in the past, you can perform really well, but if a new management comes in and they want to change things, they can. They've done it in media before. They've done it in wrestling television before. WCW is the biggest example. Mind you, WCW had a fair audience. They were getting crushed by WWE, but they had a fair audience you could build on.
Yeah, the problem was the problem was once WWE got steam with the Attitude Era, and the WCW had the problem where the inmates ran the asylum.
There was no catching up. WWE was too far ahead of them to catch up.
Kevin Nash and Hogan were booking and not making new stars, and it just killed the company from the inside.
AEW in a completely different circumstance here with Tony Khan, a lot of different talent, and a resurgence of wrestling. You mentioned, are they going to be on HBO Max? I've wanted them to be on HBO Max.
Oh, yeah.
HBO Max will have live sports in 2023. We do know they're going to have U.S. men's soccer on there. But they haven't announced any plans or exactly when they're going to present anything live on there. It's simply an on-demand service. A lot of great stuff on it. I enjoy it. It's worth the $15 a month. Now, it'd be really worth the $15 a month or maybe even a little bit more money if they started throwing some premium live events, some pay-per-views on there. I would appreciate it. But still, we're just paying the old school way, like we're going to do for Double or Nothing here in a week or so from Las Vegas. We're in a streaming service world. I think even though you have these major boxing pay-per-views and Triller, I do stuff on Fight TV, which is affordable. I think Fight is a great service. I do think there's a majority of fans though that want something on a streaming service.
Yeah. So Ozzy asking what do I have for dinner? Probably a leftover pizza. We'll see if I eat. It's going to be either leftover pizza or something else. I don't know.
If we didn't get your question, keep firing it off. We want to hear from you.
I'm up at the beginning now, so I'll start doing the questions here.
All right. This one quickly with Victor Nash. I'll toss to you in the next one. Do you guys see Omega returning anytime soon? Do you think he'll be out as long as Sami Callihan? Well, Sami Callihan had a different injury. He had an Achilles injury, which is notoriously hard. An ankle injury is really, those are not easy to heal from. I broke my ankle once and it took me 8 months to get walking right again. With Omega, he's healing from multiple different things. So there's no exact time frame, though a lot of people think he could be coming back sometime around Double or Nothing, though there's no specific report that indicates that he'll do that.
Omega's been on the road now lately, been backstage lately. He's been doing a lot of producing of the women's segments as well. So he is on the road working week to week again. So I think he's getting close to a return. Nick on the chat here. Why doesn't Beth Phoenix join Judgment Day? I just don't think she wants to be full time.
She has a heart of gold. She's not corrupt with her husband.
Do you see her tweets, man? Every time Edge goes evil, she just shakes her head on Twitter. And
they had so much fun at the Royal Rumble when they were tagging together. They had so much fun.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, but anytime,
so much fun.
Anytime he goes heel, she just shakes her head on Twitter.
I'll let you get another one. Noob, we got one for you on the independent wrestling question. I'll get to that in a second. Here we go. Casteller Garcia. Who would be a better monster heel for AEW Malachi Black? Miro or Lance Archer? I think Lance Archer would be a better fit for him. Miro obviously would be great. This is a fantasy booking. You're breaking the rules, Casteller. Our rules are don't ask us for fantasy booking, but you're verging on fantasy booking. I don't mind the hypothetical though.
I don't think either one is needed because they have Brody King.
Yeah, they have Brody King. So and there you go. You got Brody King. You're absolutely correct here. The following question: what do you think of the Vince McMahon series that will deal with the steroid scandal? I've heard about this. I do believe WWE is involved in this. It's going to be with Netflix.
It's kind of the bio.
This
right?
is the bio picture. There's another one. They did the upfronts. WWE had their upfronts there, right? And they had a really great presentation. They said they're doing a scripted show called Pinned. All right. I didn't know if this was the same thing, so I'm kind of confused.
I don't know, because I mean, Pinned is going to be in a fictional universe with.
Yeah, and this is supposed to be like a dramatic show, a dramatic retelling of all that stuff.
I know there's been a biopic in the works for a long time.
Years. Like Bradley Cooper was attached to it. It was called Pandemonium. Like that was expected for many. I think that's kind of like in developmental hell at the moment. I don't know. I haven't heard anything about that in forever. Todd Laney, do you see any more members joining AJ Styles and Finn Balor and Liv Morgan? You know, we've heard about that they're kind of like the babyface front to Edge's Judgment Day. I could absolutely see some more people joining them. And it does do something for mid-card talent to be a part of this feud.
Yeah, if Judgment Day adds, they have no choice than to add, or else they're going to get smoked. I really hope, and I said this on the show yesterday, I think this is a RK Bro situation. I think Balor was supposed to turn, but fan reaction and positivity towards the group swerved that, and now Balor is not turning. He hasn't yet. It could still happen, but I think this is an RK Bro situation where Balor was supposed to turn at the pay-per-view, and he did show up in that match with AJ and Edge. But I think they saw the positivity, and they saw the fan reaction to when Liv did the Too Sweet with them. So I think we're getting a pseudo Bullet Club faction babyface team in the WWE. And obviously, if Judgment Day adds, then they definitely have to start adding some bodies, or they're going to get smoked. So
they're Bullet Club adjacent. They're the adjacent club. They're Bullet Club adjacent.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into some more questions here.
Go ahead. This next one. Go ahead. And I'll scroll down.
That's all right. I want to get to one here about Cesaro. Keep fighting for. I want to see the name here. Keep Keeping it real for life. Keeping
Fo-
it real
fo- fo-
for
fo- fo-
life.
fo- 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 fo.
He goes, do you know where Cesaro went? Well, Cesaro left the WWE. He was negotiating with them on a new deal, and they couldn't come to terms, and his contract expired. The word is that Cesaro is very active. He's on Twitch and different things like that. Will he be in a wrestling ring anytime soon within 2022? Obviously, everyone rushes to the conclusion that he would have been one of the jokers for the All Elite Wrestling tournament, for the Owen Hart tournament, one of the jokers that surprises everyone. They will have. Do they have some type of battle royal like they always have, a big reveal and a big debut at that? Yeah, but the thing is, I don't know if that's the way you want to debut. He won't debut with the Cesaro name. He will have a slightly different name. He did work as Claudio Castagnoli for years on Ring of Honor before he went to WWE, but obviously now people know him more as Cesaro from WWE television for so long, nearly 10 years. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting where he goes. Does he come back to WWE? He's still very young, still very healthy. He can do that. Is he going to go to AEW? I honestly don't know. Some people were thinking that was just a foregone conclusion. He's in the clear. He's clear to appear for them.
I think,
and if it happens, it would be really great. I want to see him wrestle again.
Yeah, his contract ended, so he is free to go immediately as soon as that contract ended. I think he can still go under Cesaro if he might have trademarked CSRO. So
the alteration,
here. Like kind of like Enzo did.
What up, noob? Will we see some matches possibly in Slammiversary? This is the upcoming Impact show. So this is Taya Valkyrie defending the AAA Reina de Reinas title, or a match between Masha Slamovich, love that name, versus Hammock. The Briscoes defending the tag titles. Impact, it's been a fun show. There's some really strong stuff on it. There's some stuff that doesn't, connect with me at all. Maybe I'm impartial because I interviewed him recently. He's doing stuff with AEW. I don't care. I'll show that. But Mike Bennett had a hell of an angle this week. Him and Carl Anderson in the ring. And his wife, Maria Bennett, is behind Carl. Oops. Carl ducks, and Mike Bennett spears his wife. What? It was quite the angle. I enjoyed that. I want to see something there for sure. Got me personal investment. I'm on board.
They teased possibly something with Masha and Havoc, but I think Havoc and Rosemary might be going for the tag titles against the Influence, possibly. I don't know who the Briscoes are going to defend against. I don't know if they do a rematch with Violent by Design. I don't know if maybe OGK and the Good Brothers are like a number one contendership for that. It would be kind of trippy to see the Briscoes facing OGK for the Impact tag team titles, considering those are two original Ring of Honor tag teams. So that'd be kind of cool to see. And I don't know if Taya is going to rematch with Deanna for the Reina de Reinas. That could be a possibility. They've
done that match a lot.
You could throw Jordan Grace or Mia Yim in there possibly as well. They just teamed with Taya in a 6-woman tag as well. So a lot of things up in the air there.
Why don't you take this one here from James Jones, Jeremy? How many from AEW do you think are going to make the famous jump? I assume he's referencing WWE. We saw with Cody, there are contracts coming up from when AEW launched in 2019. Those are coming up. Obviously, MJF is the most talked about one. Yeah. The top 5 possible AEW to WWE jumps. That video is up now on our WrestleBinge channel. Go check it out. But who do you think can make that jump?
It's wide open, man.
Pick one you want to see. Tell me one you want to see. Who would you like to see jump out of AEW to WWE? Just pick one.
MJF, but not until after his second contract. Because I fully expect MJF to re-sign, but yet I've been saying all along on this show that MJF does definitely owes it to his career to have one WWE run in him. So definitely MJF. It's kind of hard because they're smaller guys. A lot of smaller guys on that roster that would not get pushed to WWE. Guys that are future stars in AEW like Darby Allin and Jungle Boy, I don't think they would succeed in WWE, unfortunately. So it's really tough to tell. Brian Cage definitely is a great wrestler. I've known him for a long time.
People thought he was going. People thought he was going a few months ago.
I've known him for a long time. I think he would have been a perfect choice, but he's re-signed. I don't know if he wants to go or if he wants to stay with AEW. That's definitely up in the air. I think Scorpio Sky, I don't want him to go, but I think he's a guy that could flourish in AEW. Ethan Page is another one because he's just so good on the microphone. And
they've been so hot and cold with them.
Yeah, he's so talented in the ring. They haven't used him much, but I think he's pretty content in AEW. He's stepping away from his vlogs, which is kind of a shame because he's done pretty good. Let me give you an update on Impact, by the way. Deanna and Jordan Grace and Mia Yim are all going to be in the Queen of the Mountain mountain match. So they are not going to be definitely competitors for Taya Valkyrie. So that'll be interesting to see. Of course, you got Ultimate X coming back too. That'll be exciting. With main eventing Josh Alexander against Eric Young, which will be a what I would call a good defining title defense for Josh Alexander to defeat a multi-time champion within Impact Wrestling.
Several months ago, Tony Khan, the president of AEW, announced his purchase of Ring of Honor, and he said he would hope to get it on a television platform. He did mention that he was talking to Warner Media executives about it, and could it be one of the future AEW television-produced shows? It's kind of like a sub. He owns it. It's like their other promotion they have now. Is it going to be a feeder system, a place for all this different talent they have? Obviously, the main reason you get that is for the tape library. There's a ton of stuff there you could do something with. Any news on an ROH television deal? No news. And no news sometimes is bad news. I was talking about this earlier in terms of just relatable, parlayable television news with AEW this week. The upfronts, WWE had Roman Reigns there. They had a bunch of different champions there. They did a presentation for Fox. They did a presentation for NBC where NBC said, we're getting more behind WWE and we're going to sell like a sport. All right. And then Warner Media has their presentation and they do a bunch of different slides, and AEW is one of the slides, and they get a moonsault. And there was some talk before the upfronts that AEW was going to get this big presentation because the initial debut and official confirmation that AEW was a real thing was an upfront presentation with TNT and television executives and ad companies in 2019. And it was a big splash and a hell of a run. I don't know if the changes to TBS have affected them poorly. I don't know if it's Rampage. Maybe I would say most of it's Discovery buying Warner Media, and this is a company that's in a tremendous level of transition, while they also have the number two streaming service in the world at the moment, at least in the United States with HBO Max. So there's a lot of challenges to that media company, let alone what's going on with my wrestling show, AEW. So that's to be noted there as well. So I think a Ring of Honor television deal is not a number one priority right now, even though it is a priority you have to make. You purchase that tape library, you purchase that talent. What are you going to do with it? Ozzy asks, how hurt is Bryan Danielson from the AEW taping? We don't know anything on that. What? I saw the video of this. You saw it as well, Jeremy. It didn't look good. His leg got trapped between the walkout ramp and the ring while they were taping Rampage, which is airing tonight.
Word is I don't believe this just because of how long he was stuck there. Word is it was kayfabe. It was part of it. I don't know if I believe that or not, but at the same time, we haven't heard any updates or anything. But a lot of people think, or I report, I don't know if it came from Alvarez or Meltzer, but somebody said that this was kayfabe. So that's kind of interesting. We got one question here. What? One bear, two bears, three bears.
Sip and die, dude, for the working man. There you go.
AEW, Roman Reigns to AEW. That's confirmed. Yes, that is breaking news. Confirmed.
Confirmed here.
Yep.
I like this one. Noob asks, which independent wrestlers would be a perfect fit for AEW or WWE? Natalia Markova. You're asking some deep cuts here. I'm an active with AAW. I have a bias there. I have no problem saying that. I think Christy James is an incredible talent. She has that quality about her where people will turn and walk and listen to the things she has to say. And she has some great matches, some compelling promos. I think she would be an asset to any television company that could pick her up there. So that would be my answer for it here. Want to keep moving along. Don't want to leave anyone hanging here.
I would say, God, for the females off the top of my head, I'd say Janai Kai definitely is worthy of a contract. For the men, geez, I'd have to think about it a little harder though. I got one here. Where did that question go?
I'm sorry, scrolling too fast here.
No, I don't. No, you don't. Yours doesn't affect me. It's independent of each other.
All right, here we go. This one. Any news on the AEW New Japan Forbidden Door card? I've heard a lot of different things. Tony Khan did say you will get some dream matches between talent from the two separate companies, which I think is a big attraction here. I can say there is news about the show in terms of tickets. About 2,500 new tickets were added this week in terms of different specs being changed for the entranceway. So that show, which sold out initially at over 14,000 tickets now could have a capacity of 17,000. So there's a lot more tickets that opened up. That'll kind of make it more wider, and you'll be able to have like a 90-degree angle. You won't be able to see the entranceway, but you'll be able to see the ring, like those type of seats. So if you still want to go, make that trip out at the end of June to Chicago, which is just going to be the wrestling mecca this year. It's going to be a lot going on here because we're going to have AEW All Out later in the year. We're going to have Hell in a Cell at the beginning of June. So some big stuff there as well. So
all right, one final question to wrap up the week. Of course, the top story of the week. Let's just finish it out with the top story here.
Thomas B. Always thankful. Thank you so much, Thomas. I hope you're well. Do you believe the Sasha Naomi walkout could be a work? Bubba, you're referencing Bubba Ray, Bully Ray, busted open. Shout out Dave LaGreca. Welcome, the nation, all that good stuff. He said he thought it could be a work. If so, Paul Heyman is possibly responsible. I'm an avid listener of Busted Open. I am a part of the nation. It is a nation. And I heard that take. It is an interesting one. Obviously, Bully would have a very, very strong grasp of Paul Heyman's approach. I did have a very heated conversation with Paul Heyman this week. If you haven't watched it, go check it out. I don't know. I really, really don't know. And sometimes things that are real become a really great storyline. And we saw it with CM Punk in the Summer of Punk in WWE, which was absolutely compelling. We saw it with Stone Cold Steve Austin being frustrated with where he was in WWE and now being able to parlay that into being a super huge star. We saw it with The Rock. The Rock was hated by the fans, and he was supposed to be a babyface, and then they embraced it, and then he embraced it, and then he became the coolest thing ever, right? So can you do something with this and make it into a story? I think that's a little bit more of a compelling question. Whether or not it's real, it's real. You had Jimmy Smith, who's the commentator of Raw, go on the record on that same channel on SiriusXM and say, this is 100% real. I've talked to some people in WWE in the past 3 days, not since things have cooled down because they still haven't cooled down, but they also talked to some people, and they've told me they believe it's real. So, I mean, and these aren't even people that know everything. They know enough just to say that, and confident about that. It is real. But why do they do it? I still think it isn't just one reason. I think there's many reasons why they did this, and some things boiled over. I still think it's unprofessional that they did that to the other people they were in the match with and the crew. I don't understand why WWE had to make such a big deal of it online, but they have to because the news is going to get out there. And they need to get ahead of it too. If this happened in All Elite Wrestling or Impact, I think the same thing would have happened too, or at least some form of it, some other version of it would have happened too.
It's definitely not a work, but they could shoot themselves into a work.
Yes, yeah, you know what I mean. Like that. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, and we've seen it done before. And can you do it easily? I don't know. You did with Matt Hardy and Edge back in the day when Edge and Lita had some transgressions and Matt, they absolutely turned that into a real life story. And it was very interesting. People were very on board with it. If Sasha and Naomi show up on your television in the next few weeks, it's going to be a very interesting appearance.
Oh yeah.
So I'll leave it at that. Are they going to AEW? Not anytime soon. I don't think they're going to be there anytime soon.
Well, their contracts are up in 2 months, so.
Yeah. Is it 2 months? Is that the time frame?
That's what the report was earlier today.
Yeah. So Chucky asking how we feel about the situation. It's just unfortunate. The whole thing is unfortunate. It is a steaming hot mess of a situation for all parties involved. Yeah. And hopefully it can come to some resolution, whether that's them even staying with WWE or not. I would hope that they get to still be entertainers in some way. Obviously Sasha Banks she's on Mandalorian. She's not in a tough position. Also, what complicates this is Naomi is married into the bloodline. She's married into the Anoa'i family of Roman Reigns. So this gets really, really weird. The whole thing gets very weird.
So if Sasha goes and Naomi stays, they could very easily write her into the bloodline with Paul Heyman bringing her back and explaining.
You got options.
Yeah.
You have options. For sure. If you haven't done so, go check out that interview with Sonya Deville and Paul Heyman. They are up now. One where Paul Heyman refers to a dream match between The Rock and the Reigns as a fantasy. a very arousing fantasy, to say the least.
Master Bathory.
Yeah, go give us the rub. Go give us the rub and share that link, or you stink. We will have a post show for AEW Double or Nothing. Make sure your notifications are on. We have some cool stuff going on at Twitch. A whole lot going on, Jeremy. They need to follow you every Wednesday night after Dynamite. We're doing Getting Over. We're on Twitch.
Not quite every Wednesday yet. Stay tuned. We'll let you know. Definitely not this Wednesday because I got a concert to go to. I will check with management.
What are you going to see? What are you going to see?
Metalachi. They are a mariachi band that plays metal covers. So a mariachi band that'll play Man in a Box by Alice in Chains. They'll play Wind of Change by Scorpions. They'll play Sweet Child of Mine by Guns N' Roses. So I've been a fan of those guys for a while, and I heard they were playing a blues bar downtown, small little venue. So I was excited and immediately bought that ticket. So I'm excited to see that. So we may go Thursday, or it may take a week off before we could. We haven't management.
Keep an eye out.
Yeah, management hasn't quite committed to the Wednesdays yet, so we'll check that out. If we do one next week, it'll probably be Thursday night.
Thank you guys so much. If you haven't done so, just hit the like button. It's something free you can do for the show. Go ahead and do that as well. You can follow Jeremy on the Twitter machine at JB Huskers. Go give him a follow. Solid follow. Love the live tweets from him. You can follow me on the Twitter machine at Kellam. I'll be live on the comedy stages tonight. I'll be at the Kedzie Inn with Killing It at the Kedzie. And next Wednesday, you can catch me as well at Ayers Brewing in Chicago. I'll be doing Brewing Up Laughs, 2 new comedy shows that I'm working on. I moved out of the neighborhood where those comedy shows are, and now I'm producing shows there, which is over the top.
So now you got to get a ride to go further, huh?
Yeah, I'm gonna hop right there on the CTA. You can also see me on AAW Crush and Destroy, which will be live on worldwide pay-per-view with Fight TV on June 11th. So it's going to be busy here the next couple weeks. Maybe some cool stuff with Hell in a Cell coming up as well. Thank you guys so much. A long show. You guys stuck with us for 46 minutes, and I appreciate that. But I also need you to do one more thing. Take a deep breath. Calm down if your fantasy booking isn't fulfilled on television. Oh, my argument with someone else about internet tribalism over wrestling companies and billionaires I don't even know personally. Just breathe. Okay, just breathe, baby. Just breathe. All right? It's okay. You don't have to win WWE 2K22. Just restart the match. That's all right. If they're going to pin you, you kick out on 2 and restart the match.
Rage quit.
Rage quit, yeah. Just enjoy wrestling, everybody.
Yeah.
Watch out, watch out.